Hey everyone, welcome back to Branded. I'm your host, Sarah, and today we are talking about the real reason your business feels solid, but it really isn't. Now, this is going to be something that we're going to dive right into because from the outside, everything looks really good, right? Your websites are working, your emails are sending, your clients are getting results. So nothing's like on fire. But if you're being really honest with yourself, it only feels super solid because you're watching it like a fucking hawk. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. How to run a business that doesn't require that constant supervision. Because honestly, at the time of this recording, it's really close to spring break. So, anybody with kids, right, you want to be able to take some time off. We're creeping closer and closer to summertime. I know for sure we're going to be going on camping trips and hikes and doing all sorts of stuff. And I don't want to be worrying about my business, worrying about did that email send? Is the onboarding actually firing? Did that client get that invoice? So, we're going to talk about how to run a business that doesn't require that constant supervision. A business can, a business that runs really quietly, really cleanly, without you checking in on it day in and day out, that's what we're going to talk about. That's what we want to get, right? It runs so quiet that you're like, you know what? I haven't actually checked in on XYZ in a while. You go look at it and you're like, oh shit, it's still working. It's still doing what it's supposed to do, even when I'm not paying attention to it. That's the goal. Because if it needs you hovering, right, at every moment in order for it to feel stable, then it's not. It's supported, but it's supported by you and nothing else. And that fragility that you feel, it's really invisible. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint sometimes. It's not super dramatic and it doesn't look like a total collapse, right? It looks like maybe you constantly checking to make sure that onboarding fired, or you're rereading emails before they send because you don't really trust them. Or maybe you're adjusting your sales page mid-launch because something just feels off. Manually stepping in because it's faster than fixing some sort of automation that needs a little bit of tweaking, or carrying a mental list of what needs to be cleaned up in your business. And operating like that, it works for a little bit, but it only works for as long as you're maintaining it. And at this stage in the game, you shouldn't have to be the oversight and the safety net. So here's the part that no one really sees. There's this quiet hum in the back of your brain that just like never goes away, right? It's like this humming sound of, did the email go out? Did that automation I made, did it trigger? Um, did I update the link that I needed to update because it was broken? Is the email sequence that's being sent out even current? Is it even relevant to what I'm doing right now? Did the client get what they needed? All of these little questions that are buzzing in the back of your mind, they're subtle, but they're constant. And when you're monitoring everything like that, you can't actually lead your business, not at least at the level that you want to lead at, right? You don't need to be the safety net for your own systems. That's the point of having the systems. And what's crazy is all that really fast growth that we're always working towards, right? You want to get there faster, faster, faster. It also creates this invisible fragility. You want to grow fast, so you build what you need and you're moving forward. And that's all that's happening, right? You're just building what you need in order to move forward. You make it work, you're filling in the gaps, you're keeping up that momentum. And that's why you're where you are today, right? That's the success that you have now because you were fucking scrappy and you got there. But growth, it will always expose what was never reinforced in your business. So, what used to feel like really scrappy and resourceful, and you're like, hell yeah, pat myself on the back, I got it done. Now it's starting to feel slightly unstable. And you're in this kind of in between zone where everything functions, but it's not tight, it's not clean, and you can feel this sort of added pressure, even if no one else can, right? You feel it. You wake up every day feeling it. So, what does having like a really solid business look like? Because honestly, it looks different for everybody. And I think that's why, the coaching industry, it had this big boom because there was a lot of people getting into getting into commerce online after the pandemic. But now, what are we, 6 years later? I'm like, holy shit, 6 years later. Um, Things are a little different. People are thinking about things a little differently and starting to really focus on what makes them individually unique compared to all the noise that's out there. And that's good. You should be thinking about those things. So, a solid business looks different for everyone. It could be maybe you have a website that just doesn't need to be adjusted every single launch you do. That's solid. Maybe you have email sequences that you don't need to reread before sending them off because you know they're fucking solid. Maybe you have automations that you definitely don't need to monitor anymore, and that feels really, really good. Or maybe you have a CRM that is reflecting exactly what's happening in your business without you having to check it constantly or remember everything. You're not having to think about it, it just runs. And when your business runs like this, your brain is set free. Literally, it's like the gates open and your brain is like, oh my gosh, now I have room to run and play and think and do all these things and not be trapped underneath this incessant to-do list. So, free means you get to think bigger. Free means you have time to lead. Free means you can step away without scanning your business constantly for the cracks that are there. And that's the difference between momentum and infrastructure. Momentum needs you. You got to be there. You're leading the charge. You are leading that momentum, right? Infrastructure, on the other hand, supports you. So you can continue to have momentum and lead. So if you're building one without the other, that's why things don't feel as solid as they should be. And you're not in the early stages of business anymore. You're just not. You don't need to be scrappy. You don't need to have that extra like umph of resourcefulness. You need some properly built systems. Being scrappy was appropriate when you were still figuring it all out. But now it's time for some stability. So if your business is relying on you to feel secure, then it hasn't really matured with you. But I'm sure you already know that because you feel it. And that's why this conversation is probably landing, right? So let's talk about what that point of like rebuilding something in your business might look like. Because it's not going to be everything. Sometimes it's just little gaps here and there. So if something's only working because you're hovering above it, then that's a rebuild point. And not because anything's failing, right? It's because likely you've just outgrown it. Your business has outgrown that sort of scrappy, resourceful structure you had. Now you need something a little more reinforced. And this is a sign that the next version of your business is ready to be reinforced. It's ready to be cleaned up a little bit. It's ready to be designed to carry its own weight. So if solid, it's that when you're not watching. Make it solid even when you're not watching. That's the goal. If this conversation has you thinking like, you know what, there are some parts of my business where I'm like, constantly touching it, putting my manual efforts into it. I am the safety net. It does not happen unless I do it. That's a rebuild point. So pay attention to these kinds of things. And I know last week in our episode, we were talking a little bit about this as well. And there's some things you can audit along the way. When you pull yourself out of your business and you see what kinds of things fall through the cracks, that is huge opportunity for you to reinforce those parts of your business because if you want to keep growing, your infrastructure has to grow with you. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll see you next week for a brand new one. Bye, guys.